This is Dolynny TV, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another edition of Edmonton Oilers discussion here on the channel. Just patiently waiting for Zap to come say hi, as we're going to get ripping into a Sunday morning edition of talking about the best remaining UFA goal scorers that the Oilers could target. Right now, just below $4 million in cap space. This is pretty much a direct follow-up to yesterday's video talking about Manning, Gagne, and Brodziak. That frees up $6.55 million in cap space if you were to trade all three of them for picks or non-roster players. So that's the interesting part here if you're the Oilers, is there's some options to get around this cap crunch, and you can almost have $10 million in cap space with, well, you're past July 1st, you're into the second week of July. Guys, holy crap, no way. That's absolutely unreal. The question is, can it happen? That's the problem. Probably not, but we'll move on and we'll figure it out as we go along. So, with that said, let's get on over to who the top free agent goal scorers are. I'll have their stats up here in a second. You've got Ryan Dzingel, Justin Williams, Brian Boyle, Michael Ferland, Thomas Vanek. All of those five, they're the top five. They've pretty much all been rumored to have come to Edmonton at some point in the last week. That's a damn well given. There's one more name that we've heard, of course, Derek Brassard, but he scored 14 goals last year, so we need not worry about him. So let's get on over to that image now that I've got of the goal scoring depth, and I'll kind of show you what that all equates to in terms of the Oilers being able to get somebody that could go out there and score goals on that second line with Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. That's my thing. I don't think we need a goal scorer for McDavid and Draisaitl. They can do their own thing, and they're great enough goal scorers as it is. So, bang, right there, you've got yourself here. I'll keep Zap in the frame. You guys love Zap. She's the star of the show. We'll let her go. So right like that, you've got Ryan Dzingel at 27 years old, who played 78 games last year, 26 goals, 30 assists, 56 points, .72 points per game kind of ratio, and really a good shooting percentage of 16%, so can't complain too much. 14 minutes on the ice, you'd see that marginally improved to about 13.5 to 15 playing with Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. Problem is, he was on a 1.8 cap hit last year. You're not going to get Mr. Ryan Dzingel for 1.8. I don't even think you're going to get him for 4.5. Now, obviously, yes, there's the interference that's been run by Marcus Johansson signing in Buffalo yesterday. That there goes the theory that maybe you're going to get Dzingel a little bit cheaper, closer to 3.9, and on a short term, 2 years, which is exactly what the Oilers need. If you can't move Lucic right now or next year, you need to have a guy that's going to be either gone or here to kind of mold himself into the frame over the course of only a few years, as opposed to a long-term contract where you'd have to sign Nuge while also having a guy like Dzingel signed to the roster prior to having to sign Nuge, if you get where I'm going. Justin Williams, the other option right here on the board. You've got 82 games played, 23 goals, 30 assists, 53 points, .65 points per game, and guys, he was a beauty at $4.5 million for what was an absolutely incredible run for the Carolina Hurricanes. The captain, he's been all around well-traveled, and well, you know what? He's won multiple Stanley Cups, 82 games played, durable as all hell, 37, 38 years old coming up. Do I buy that one? Probably not, but 23 goals, guys. Imagine 23 goals on the wing with Nuge, somebody that's an absolute consummate pro. Guys, that would benefit Nuge so much, but is it a good idea? I don't know. Again, you'd have to get him short term, obviously at 37. You'd probably be looking 1 year deal, but is it something for Justin Williams where he's like, oh, Edmonton's got a chance to win, let's go. I'm the piece that wins it. We're more just trying to make the playoffs at this point. I mean, so was Carolina last year. So anyway, Brian Boyle. This is the name that gets the most interest out there in terms of that third line center role. The guy had 18 goals, 6 assists, 24 points in 73 games last year. absolutely unreal story that is Brian Boyle with 0.33 points per game. I mean, a minus 14, yeah, what are you reading to that? That's kind of the tough part, but I think he split time between New Jersey and Nashville last year, so that should explain it. Coming off a $2.55 million cap hit, again, Brian Boyle, you should be able to get him for nice and cheap, especially with the market prices being where they kind of are this offseason. Maybe a 2.25 to a 2.75, depending on what the role, what the job, what the task is for Brian Boyle as an Edmonton Oiler. Michael Ferland, this is the one. You want to talk, this is danger zone, kind of like Ryan Dzingel, because Michael Ferland, $1.75 million cap hit last year. Of course, 40 points, a .56 points per game. That's dangerous. That's absolutely dangerous to contend with, because he got 71 games played, 17 goals, 23 assists, but he's a guy who really feeds off of line mates. So if you're looking at anyone to put with McDavid and Draisaitl, obviously, where'd Michael Ferland play prior to Carolina last year? With Sean Monahan and Johnny Gaudreau. So right there, you get where I'm going with all this is, yeah, he's a big line player, but is he really that guy that is going to change things for the Oilers any more than, say, a Zack Kassian would if you gave him 71 games with Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl? That's the problem with a Michael Ferland, is he's not a big add to align with Ryan Nugent-Hopkins in my mind. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe at 27 his game's a little bit more, refined, and maybe he does a little bit different. Didn't watch much of him in Carolina. 40 points might say different on a Carolina team than it does if he was with Calgary or Edmonton, but you get where I'm going. The same kind of style, grinded out style, get to the net, kind of pound and slash and get pucks home. Same as Zack Kassian, and I'm just a little biased to Zack Kassian because the boy's ours and I love him to death. So we're good there. Thomas Vanek, 35 years old. So you have two 27-year-olds, 34-year-old, a 35-year-old, and a 37-year-old on the top goal scorers list. That is today's NHL. 16 goals, 20 assists for a .56 points per game on a $3 million cap hit. So Thomas Vanek, honestly, if you could get Thomas Vanek at a, 2.5, 2.4, somewhere in there, guys, that'd be a steal. Problem is he going to keep putting up these numbers? And 36 points, that's not as special as we need. Like, everybody above, except for Brian Boyle, is a lot more special in terms of points than Thomas Vanek is at 35 years old. And I mean, Brian Boyle's 34, so scratch him. Justin Williams, 37, put up more points, right? There's that constant question of age, slowdown, production, all that. And for the Oilers, it's a big task. If you're going to make that trade, a Manning trade, a Gagner trade, a Kyle Brodziak trade, so as you can get any of these guys, if you're going to make that deal, you have to have full faith that one of these guys is going to be the guy for you. And if you're looking at one of the 30-plus-year-olds, guys, that's a scary task for the Oilers to bet on. And we've seen it backfire. We've seen it work. We've seen it everything in between for the Oilers over the past 10, 15 years. Problem is, can you hope that it's going to solve what you need it to solve this year? Because this year we need to push for the playoffs. That's the thing. Push for the playoffs, make the playoffs, get some kind of luck of the draw kind of deal. It's all the magical run of a season. But the problem is you need to have somebody that's going to be the go-to guy next to McDavid, Draisaitl, and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. I don't know if Ryan Dzingel's quite ready for that. Maybe his time in Ottawa made him available to that in a lesser diminished role in Edmonton than being top-line kind of guy in Ottawa and top-line kind of mentality in Ottawa, right? Somebody who had to go out there and do things for himself, because where was the supporting cast really in Ottawa? There wasn't much of one this year. Kind of similar to Edmonton, but they didn't have a Leon Draisaitl, Connor McDavid, or Ryan Nugent-Hopkins there. I mean, they had a Matt Duchene, but his head was elsewhere all season, we can tell you that. Justin Williams, a guy who probably would succeed in that role. Honestly, Justin Williams would probably be the absolute best guy. Again, age, production, slow. Brian Boyle. Brian Boyle is just a 34, a role player you're bringing in to get a job done on that third line. I don't think he's that dynamic change in the lineup. Maybe he is, maybe he isn't. Who knows? 24 points in the bottom six. That's like top numbers on the Oilers. Don't get me wrong there. Michael Ferland, again, top line guy, but if he could find some chemistry with Ryan Nugent-Hopkins on a roll, well, okay, maybe we get something going. And then you have two dangerous pairs, and especially if you get Joakim Nygard out there with Nuge, that's speed, guys. That's the scary thing with Nygard. That speed looks dangerous. And then Thomas Vanek. Well, Thomas Vanek, if one shot of glory, feed off of a guy like Nuge. Nuge is a great passer. Thomas Vanek's finished a lot of goals over his career. The storylines that there are, the offer sheet, all that back in the day. Maybe, just maybe, the Oilers find something in him. But honestly, my best option is either Justin Williams or Ryan Dzingel. Of course, they're kind of the top two goal scorers, so they're going to be sought after, but we'll find out. If the Oilers can do it first, like I said, we got to make those trades, so let's find out what ends up going on, guys. I'm Tyson, this is Dolynny TV. Give me your thoughts in the comments section down below, and we'll discuss everything as we get going. This is the new little graphic I made up, so definitely hit that subscribe button, click the bell. You want those little arrows pointing off of it to get up-to-date videos. I'm Tyson, this is Dolynny TV. I am up on out of here.